read 4 of the most soul-crushing books so that you didn't have to. I read all these books back to back in the month of October after a breakup that I had going on in my life. I want to preface by saying I completely knew going into these books that it would be an emotional roller coaster. I also want to say during this talk I will be spoiling everything because I don't know when to stop yapping. And I also really did enjoy these books. They definitely all made me feel something, whether good or bad. And that is really what literature is for. So I'm super excited to go over these with you, give a rundown, my opinion on them, and also the characters. And yeah, let's get right into it. I want to review these in a very specific type of order, not my least favorite to most favorite. I kind of want to go in order of most productive emotionally last to the least emotionally productive. I think in my experience, every emotion is valid, every emotion is needed in life. However, some things don't benefit us thinking about. Some things will never make us happier dwelling on them. And that is kind of the way I want to handle these books and the way that the characters handled them. I'll be judging that. So to get this started, I'm going to be starting with the book As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. This book, I'm going to say, is the least emotionally productive, but I quite enjoyed this short read. It was interesting. These are written in, I think every chapter is a different perspective. It's based about a mother who, she's laying dying. She dies pretty quickly in the book though. This book is about Addie and Ons and their kids. They live in, I believe, the deep south or Midwest. Very country book, very Southern Gothic. Honestly, I believe I typed Southern Gothic reads into Reddit and found this, and it was great for that purpose. When we're following the kids, basically what's going on is Addie passes very early on. She's been passing since before the book started, slowly dying in her bed. She has multiple kids. We have Ferdinand, Vondraman, we have Jewel, we have Darl. We also have Dooley Dell, who is the only daughter of the family. We have Cash, who is the oldest, and I think they have another kid named Tull, or that is somebody else. From what I remember, those are the kids' names, and again, they are Addie and Ons' kids in here. From what I could understand, Addie was never in love with Ons. She kind of just bared with him. He didn't even have good money when she met him. He was working out on the farm, isolated from everything on a hill. And then he basically came up to her one day and was like, I was wondering if you wanted to get married. Like, you don't have anybody down here. Who cares? Neither do I. So let's go stay up at my farmer place, my ranch. And Addie literally, okay, this is where it starts. Addie says she does have people who would miss her. She still goes. And it's kind of like, girl, why did you do that? And kind of puts the whole thing in my mind that literally all this book could have been avoided. I'm sure girl had her reasons. From what I understand, it might have been just her wanting to rebel. I don't know what Miss Addie was thinking. Can't really remember if she was thinking at all, but she continued to have multiple kids with this man, with Ons, one kid with the other guy, who's a doctor from what I believe, and who could also have made their life way better. I don't know. Continuing on, the kids after Addie passes basically are put on this prowl around town because to Ons, Addie had said once she passes she wanted to be buried where she was born, where he had taken her from. And so he, throughout this whole book, is like that was her one wish. Like, I have to grant her this one wish. She did everything for me. You kind of learn that that's really not it. I believe that Ans wanted to do that for her to get her out of his hair, because in the end, Ans does get remarried. Oh my god, I need a drink. Ans, I think, had ulterior motives for the way he did things. He refused to take her to the doctor. He refused to ask for help from doctors who were willing to come. And throughout the whole book, outside perspectives label Ans as somebody who, for some reason, you just want to help. But because you want to help, he knows that. And he'll ask you too late, or put himself in a situation where people will pity him and help him. Ash, at one point, they fall into a river because right when Addie passed away, there was a big storm. So that happens, and they have to cross the water unsafely in this carriage with the horses, and everybody's across, and then they have to get the casket across, and I believe it's Jewel and a guy, like a grown adult, trying to do this, and then the horses, and I think Darl's trying to help too. The child Ferdinand, or however you say his name, is there. They are crossing the river, and it is treacherous, and the casket is heavy. They slip on a rock. Cash literally, I believe, in my opinion, breaks his legs. And guess what? Guess what, Ans? Darl. Ans says it was Darl's idea, or whoever's idea. He's literally a kid. Like, be an adult. They go into town and they cement Cash's leg. It's no bandage, no nothing. They literally put a cement block around Cash's leg to consider it done, I guess. Cash later obviously has to get that thing ripped off him. His leg burned, chemical burns from it. Oh my god, poor kid. But Cash and Ferdinand, I believe, are the only ones truly trying to help out their mom. Anyway, those different perspectives, and I think really the ending of, nothing is really okay. Nothing for anybody is okay except for maybe Ans, but he still has kids that he needs to help cope and just help, period. I think that this book, though an amazing and a great look back read, just did not give me the emotional toll that the other ones did. So it was last for me, but I still loved it. And that is As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. The next book that I want to cover with you guys is maybe gonna be a surprise, I don't know, in this ranking system, but it's actually Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I actually just finished this book recently. It was the last one that I read out of these four, and I genuinely had problems with this book. No. I had issues. I had beef with this book. My beef with this book primarily came from the mind of Camille really frustrated me, and also felt odd. I don't think I can say the word that I want to say on here, but she definitely was giving me... I just don't know where to begin with this book, because overall it was very frustrating and exhausting to read, which means like, oh girl, like why doesn't it hire them? Because I don't think it was productive the way that this played out. I think every mindset in here was self-destructive, self-pitying, like, oh my god, girl, stand up, and oddly, like, she was into kids. She was into them. and I was tired of it the second I started reading. I think that all of this was done with a purpose. I think that Gillian is a fantastic writer, is written amazingly, because I was getting the vibe straight ahead. The issue is, because it's not productive, I've definitely faced myself going, Gillian, what the hell, why are you writing this? Like, what are you? And that's not good on me. Camille's the problem. How to run down this book. If you don't know Sharp Objects, obviously it's on HBO too. If you don't know Sharp Objects, it is about Camille here, who is from a small town originally called Wingap, and it's southern, like, it's basically the same vibe, small town Christian vibe. Okay, pop into this shit, let's go. Camille comes back from Chicago to write a paper about murders going on in Wingap. Obviously, some people, when they see her again, are a little suspicious of why she's back, and when they learn that it's because of murders, they feel almost used by her. It seems like when she was in Wingap, when she was younger, she was a popular kid. So a lot of these people who are still there, the people who are getting murdered, are popular. So it's an odd dynamic that really isn't explored too much in that guise, but in terms of it being there, it definitely is. There's a power dynamic in the play, and also this odd resentment for Camille before she even gets in the door. Then her mother, Adora, is introduced, and Adora is odd. There's Munchausen by proxy claims in this book for Adora, and she also says herself to Camille that because Camille was never cuddly while she was sick, she just became more angry and resentful because Adora was giving her medication to basically poison her, making her sick. She didn't love Camille as much as her other daughter, Marion, who she did kill, apparently, by accident. Camille comes back. There is another child named Emma. Emma is young. I think she's 13 in this, but she is basically Camille outside. She's very popular, very hypersexual for her age, which Camille describes that's how she was as well. She does drugs, all of this outside the house, but unlike Camille, when she is in the house, she is a princess. She completely adores Adora, her mother. She submits completely to Adora in the house. Outside, it's her business. We're going into the house with Camille. You learn there's definitely still a power dynamic that Adora has over Camille. Camille, even though through therapy and everything like that, still wishes to have her mother's acceptance. What we also see is Camille develop jealousy towards Emma. This isn't just because Adora loves Emma, and it's clear she loves Emma a little bit more than Camille. Camille becomes jealous of Emma's body, what her body looks like naked, what it looks like with others, how she is able to dress. And that is where my worry began, was literally Camille in her mind dissecting these teenage girls' bodies. Sometimes it is in a comparison self-destructive way. Sometimes because Camille self-harmed, so she would do these things to herself, mutilate her body, and then see beautiful bodies who are not harmed, and she would self-deprecate in that way. Totally understand. Sometimes though, other times when she wasn't doing that, she was sexualizing Emma or other 13-year-old girls heavily. Stop looking. Stop. I don't understand. Seeking these things out was what got me. And then Camille has sex with a fresh 18-year-old boy and loves it. No complaints. Zero complaints compared to an of age police officer who she doesn't really give us the ins for. Like, she doesn't say she liked it, she doesn't say she hated it, but she had sex with him multiple times. What? Why? You can tell from the way it's written that she enjoyed it quite a bit more than when she had it with Richard, who is her age. 18 is of age, but he literally turned it like a month ago. It was disgusting, and I believe in a way, after reflecting on it, that it's her way of still being young like Emma and being like, oh, I still got it. It is still very throughout the whole book. She is, instead of redefining what childhood could be, she instead she literally critiques these girls while sexualizing them in her own mind. So nothing she says really matters, because what they're doing works on her, and it is disgusting. She hasn't changed her thoughts. She's just spewing hate because she's jealous of how the girls look, and that makes you ugly, girl. I literally just went off full rant and just went off cycle from the book. But that is the biggest part that irked me, was Camille. This book. Like, I know people are gonna watch this and be like, okay, like, why is it so low? Because it literally made you feel all that. But no, I can't put it higher. I wish I could put it at 0, just because it irked me so much. And that's gross. That's gross, girl. It's gross. All right, let's take a Diet Coke break and breathe. How are you feeling? Let's move on then to our third book. That is going to be The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This was the first one that I read out of the 4, and so it's been a little bit. But I love this. I love this novel. Towards the end, I did begin to get angry, similar to how I was getting angry with Camille. So this book follows Esther going to New York. She's transitioning into college, I believe, but she's going to New York specifically with a group of girls to basically be like, hey, like, girls can go to college too, and we can do stuff like edit and be marketable, and we can have careers. And similar to, like, I think they do leadership communities to DC. I believe that's kind of what it was. So Esther is young. She has a man back home who is ill with TB. She is planning on leaving him because he is boring. She does not like him. She meets a group of friends while she's in New York, and specifically one of them is not boring. She loves this girl. I've forgotten her name. She loves this girl. She's not boring at all. She shows her a bunch of dudes. She shows her how to get dudes. She shows her how to be sexy, and she kisses her later on. And once they kiss, and once Diane, I'm gonna say is her name, puts her in a situation where Esther almost gets molested, they split. They don't talk again. So that happens, and once that happens, we kind of see Esther begin to take a mental downward toll. And I don't think it is specifically because of the man who harassed her. I think it's because of Diane. I really think Diane, whatever her name is, unlocked something in Esther that absolutely did not need to be opened. And that was rebellion, self-harm, putting herself in harmful situations or simply harming herself, carelessness for life. We begin to follow Esther down that path. She's still in New York. She's by herself now. She doesn't really like the other girls. But what we see is, though she doesn't like the other girls, she loves using people for info. So she's a bitch. Fake ass bitch. So we have Esther, fake ass bitch. And Esther, through being fake and through, destroying her life while in New York alone, she is put into a mental hospital. This gave me Girl Interrupted vibes. I think, if anything, Girl Interrupted has these vibes. While she's in the mental hospital, she sees tons of different people. Most of them have depression though, and anxiety. And I don't believe Esther sees anything gruesome, but I do recall she immediately began hiding the pills, overtaking them, and she was creating an environment that worsened instead of got better in the mental hospital. She did have a psychiatrist who she was supposed to talk to, but kind of refused to be real with. And at one point you do get the same kind of messaging that I just have to pretend to be okay. And that's all they need. I don't actually have to be okay, and honestly I'll never be okay. But they have to think that I don't want to pass, and I'll be okay. So I read a couple of the last pages to kind of get a vibe of what was going on, and here's what I have to say. I took a deep breath and listened to the old brag of my heart. I am. Patients with accompanying nurses made their rounds of the stock shelves, conversing in low tones with the asylum librarian and alumna of the asylum herself. Glancing at her myopic, spinsterish faced, I wondered how she knew she had graduated at all, and unlike her clients, was whole and well. That is right before Esther goes into the interview to basically be released, to make sure she is actually okay. And I think that kind of sums up what I was saying, was she is. She's free. She was saying that as well. But in her mind, she's never free. And she doesn't know how other people are free, if they are really. And that is an interesting question, for sure. I love it. This book made me cry a couple times just because of the questions it asked, and Esther was a little bit boy crazy, so reading this right after my breakup was like, girl, shut the fuck up, girl, what are you doing? It definitely opened my eyes to some things, and overall, a great read. Kind of frustrating towards the end, Esther putting herself in some dense situations, but the realest book out of all of them. All right, and time for the last book out of this ranking. It's gotten dark. My hair has dried. We've been yapping for a while now, but I hope you guys are still listening and have your ears on. The last book, of course, is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. The book is not my favorite, but it is the book that made me feel the most, and I believe was the most productive in self-reflection. I definitely recommend this one. It goes into different perspectives, like As I Lay Dying, and the perspectives are so different, yet cohesive. A lot of the time you are following a character named Jude and William? No, I think it's William. You're following them too, mostly. The other characters kind of fall off. Just because, to explain that a little bit further, you're following 4 friends throughout their journey. You start off right out of college, but they self-reflect back to their college years quite a bit. Jude has experienced a lot throughout his life. He is disabled. Doesn't like the term, but he is. And he is extremely self-destructive, and he self-harms. Basically a ticking time bomb when we first meet him. We also have William, who I'm going to focus on. The other friends I'm just going to kind of blow off because I can't really remember their names. William is very close friends with Jude and the other boys. He is an actor, becomes very successful and famous during this book, and we literally get into their older ages, I believe like in their 50s and everything like that. So basically we follow their little life, and I truly did love William as a character. I think he's one of my favorites. I'm not really gonna get into Jude's backstory because Jude's backstory was one of the most emotional pieces I've ever read, and so beautifully written. Nothing is distasteful. Nothing in this book is sexualized, like in my view. It is factual, straight to the point, and does not make you or Jude, who experienced it, feel like you're sexualizing a kid. So I enjoyed this book for that. I was crying, sobbing, even without Jude's story. Like, even if that wasn't in here, I think it would still be so powerful. A main thing for Jude and William is that though they begin as friends, later on in the book, they actually become partners, which is super exciting. Jude, during the book and during this, has an abusive partner who he stays with for a long time. I believe his name is Caleb, who literally almost kills Jude. He truly believes it is love that he deserves because of the way he looks, how he's disabled. He believes he deserves to be treated this way because he is weak and ugly. That's what Caleb has said to him. From this, his self-harm had been so terrible that he was basically already dying. William, from that, takes a big step into his life, and that's when we begin to see the change of perspective. It's from friends to lovers, basically. Jude is so closed off, though. He is horrified, and he never wants to experience that again. And it's very hard, I'm sure, for Jude to think that William wouldn't treat him the same way, even though they've been friends for years, and he's never done that. A relationship is a new circle, it's a new game. I think the thing I remember the most in this is that at one point they open their relationship because Jude doesn't want to have sex. He doesn't want to, he doesn't enjoy it, it does not feel good for him. And so they open their relationship, and William feels so bad every time he does it with somebody else, and that makes it odd for me reading. I was just like, okay, then don't have sex, man. Like, it's actually really easy. I don't think maybe it's as easy as I think in my mind. He eventually does stop seeing another girl, and let me tell you, this girl was taking up so much of their time together. Maybe that's why he felt bad, because it wasn't just, oh, I'm going to get my business, I'm going to come home and love my man. It was, I'm going to this person's house, I'm going to stay here past the time I usually have quality time with my man, and we're going to be banging. Oh, it doesn't sound good, does it? So eventually it closes, but the same boundaries still apply, which I love. I'm asexual, so I love a good moment like that. Though Jude doesn't even respect his own boundaries very much, it still made me feel good. He could find somebody who did respect his boundaries, even if he wouldn't. Why did they always make him bottom? Like, can't literally do anything. Like, just let him have fun. Like, so a big theme in this book is that they refuse to call William bisexual. I only like Jude. Like, that's the only guy I like. Okay, so you're bisexual? And he's like, no, I'm not gay. Okay. And then they never label Jude as asexual. And usually I'd be like, oh, you don't need a label. He is craving one. If he just found an internet support group and knew the word for what he was, this man would feel so much less alone. So I just know, because he reflects on his inabilities so much, that if he just knew that some people don't, and you don't have to, he would be so much better off in my mind. They don't label people in this unless they are straight or straight up gay. They're getting older, they get old together. At one point, they are going to have, I believe, a dinner with friends, or they're taking a trip. Willem gets in the car with his friend Malcolm, and a girl, and they do not see a semi-truck running a red light and hitting them. It kills all three of them. Jude was not in that car. In case you didn't hear, Jude was not in that car. Jude is terribly in danger to himself. Throughout literally, I think, 5 chapters, we are just trudging through Jude's thoughts. We learn a lot of Jude's past when Willem dies. We see a lot of regret from Jude, but mainly we see a resolve in him that it's over and he does not want to live anymore. It impacts him daily, it impacts him hourly, and he does end up killing himself. I mean, this book is all through a male perspective, so I can't even begin to think of the level of reflecting that can be done on that. Willem, I think, continuously showed that he had the capabilities but refused to ask questions. And that I do see quite a bit in people and dudes, is the inability to ask questions, meaningful questions, questions that push, questions that are thoughtful. And Willem knew everything that was wrong with Jude. He knew everything that Jude was doing. Never truly asked until closer to the end how he was. Summarizing my opinion on this book and how it made me feel, I cried so much. This book made me realize so much, not just about myself, but the vastness of other people's experiences. I think for me, that kind of made me go, okay, like I should try to find out what other people are going through. But not just that, if they don't want to tell me, that's it itself. You can remain empathetic and open and conversational with somebody while also understanding that everything you say has a greater impact. And so it's definitely a balanced book, very productive for me. Absolutely loved it. Okay, friends, it is official. I'm done with my review. I have to feed my cat because it's long overdue. He's a little sleepy, but I hope you guys enjoyed my review of these books. If you have any questions, feel free to type them down below. If you have any recommendations within the same sort of genre of like Southern Gothic, coming of age yet also already there type stuff, I'd love it. And I hope you guys love this video. Bye.